بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا وبعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. Tonight's lecture will be regarding one of the most virtuous and one of the most excellent and one of the most frequently mentioned prophets in the Quran. It is a prophet who is the most frequently mentioned prophet in the Quran, and is a prophet whose story, whose message, whose saga has been mentioned in a very unique manner in the Quran al-Kareem. Of course, we all know this is Musa alayhi salatu wasalam, Kareem al-Rahman, who's been mentioned in the Quran al-Kareem more than any other prophet by name, in general and specific, anywhere from the beginning of Surah Al-Baqarah to Juz Amma. Those young Muslims, or those who have reverted back to Islam, or those Muslims who are just memorizing and taking their time studying Juz Amma, they're going to come across Hal Ataka Hadithu Musa and Juz Amma. Naam. And those who have memorized the whole Quran, or those who are starting from the beginning of the Mus'haf, they're going to read Ya Bani Israel adhkuru ni'mati allati an'amtu alaykum, and the story of Musa alayhi salatu wasalam, Inna Allah ya'murukum an tadbahu baqarah. So Musa alayhi salatu wasalam is mentioned in the end of the Mus'haf, the beginning of the Mus'haf, and the middle of the Mus'haf. And what makes the story of Musa alayhi salatu wasalam to be very special, and the whole Quran is special, but what makes his story very unique and very special is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions it in different styles and in different phases, and how the Quran was placed into a canon, the Mus'haf of Uthman radiallahu anhu, and how it was made in order from Fatiha ending with An-Nas. It isn't in one chronological order like other prophets and messengers. Allah talks about Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam. Sometimes Ibrahim and Nimrod is discussed. Other times Allah speaks about Ibrahim and his father. وَهَكَذَا. But Allah Azza wa Jal, He speaks on Musa alayhi salatu wasalam in so many different ways, styles, and manners, such as Musa with Fir'aun, Musa with his mother, Musa with Harun, Musa with the Israelites, after they traveled, after they got lost, when they were supposed to fight, when they were in the desert, and the list goes on. So many different ways in which Musa alayhi salatu wasalam is mentioned. Musa is mentioned as a general commoner. Musa is mentioned as a Rasul. Rasul Rabb al-Alameen, messenger, me and my brother. Musa alayhi salam is mentioned with having a personal relationship and dialogue with Allah Azza wa Jal, begging Allah for things, asking Allah for things, whether it is the stammering and studying of Musa, the stammering and the stuttering, whether it was to support him in front of Fir'aun, deliver him from the wrongdoers, and the list goes on of how Allah Azza wa Jal speaks on Musa, Kalim al-Rahman. And there lies no doubt there's a great amount of wisdom in that. A great amount of wisdom in that. The non-Muslims who study the Quran, and they have different reasons and purposes for studying the Quran, we know for sure one of those reasons is to criticize the Quran, and to find fault, and to show discrepancy and inconsistency, and to prove it is conjured and made up. And it is a sloppy and messy collage of the Old and the New Testament, along with Persian tales and fables, and a list of what they say. The Quran clearly mentions that they'll say, "Illa asatirul awwalin." This is more than legends. That's all it is. It's just made up. And there are many other ayats in which Allah Azza wa Jalla speaks on the reality of what they're going to say about the Quran. So these people, one of the reasons why they fall into this error and why they fall into this mistake is they don't understand that the Quran does not abide by and stick to the exact chronological order. That's not the style of the Quran. The Quran is not like no other book. It's a unique and special book. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala never said that we will tell you the stories from A to Z. In general, from Adam down, let alone the story of Adam and the story of Musa alayhi salatu wasalam. There was never any promise made in which Allah told us that He was going to speak about Musa from conception, from birth, until the end of time. It doesn't state that. And the problem, or the thing which leads to this error, is that they have full cups. And they're dealing with the Quran like other books. and they the Quran to be like other books, and they're trying to take the Quran to court under their jurisdiction, which isn't binding. Who says that everything has to be in chronological order? Where does this come from? Where's this a rule? Let alone the fact that oftentimes when things start off from A to Z, 1 to 100 in chronological order, oftentimes people become bored. They become bored. And they become desensitized by the story because they know the same trail and chain of events. But if I tell you Musa did this here, and then the Red Sea there, and the Quran was sent down there, and this story he killed the man, and that story, and the same thing is mentioned, but in different styles. You're in the sacred valley of Tuwa, so take off your sandals. And the list goes on. Of course, it's going to cause you to have a greater what? Level of attention. You're going to understand it more, and the act and the deed of you putting together the story in its chronological order is going to be greater and more appreciated. And this is from the secrets of the Quran. That these people, their minds haven't been expanded and their hearts haven't been opened up to see and to accept. Those who know this know it, and those who know it not, it just wasn't meant for them to be. So this is from the wisdom of this story being mentioned in different phases and what? Parts. Everyone understand this? And Allah Azza wa Jalla, He says, نَحْنُ نَقُصُّ عَلَيْكَ أَحْسَنَ الْقَصَصِ. We give you the best of stories, the most thorough stories, the most truthful stories. بِمَا أَوْحَيْنَا إِلَيْكَ هَذَا الْقُرْآنِ. The revelation of this recited book, وَإِن كُنْتَ مِنْ قَبْلِهِ لَمِنَ الْغَافِلِينَ. Even though before this recited book was given to you, you were unaware. You didn't know. And Allah mentions in Surah Al-Kahf, نحن نقص عليك نبأهم بالحق. Allah says, we give you their story and their narrative in truth, and full truth. So from those surahs in which Musa alayhi salatu wasalam is mentioned in detail, and a big, large portion of his life and his legacy and his saga mentioned is where? Where can we find the story of Musa alayhi salatu wasalam? Off the top of your heads. Al-Baqarah, that was a given. Perfect place to start. An-Nazi'at, that was also a given. Juzama. Surah Al-Qasas, Tayyib. No question about that. Asentum, what else? Surah Taha, okay, or Surah Al-Kahf, Tayyib, or Dhakaruha. What else? The other surahs. What about Surah Al-Af? Al-Araf is mentioned. Alright, so now let's turn it up a notch, a 2, alright? Everybody ready? All the answers were good. So, Surah Al-Baqarah. Just give me one part of the story is mentioned in Surah Al-Baqarah. Quickly. Real quick. Quick, Sheikh. In Baqarah? His mother? No, not in Baqarah. We're going to come back to you. We're going to come back to you. No more Baqarah. We're going to come back. Nazi'at. Who said that? Who said Surah Al-Nazi'at?
I can answer that one.
Who said Nazi'at? Fadda Sheikh. What's mentioned in Nazi'at? Quickly. Quickly.
Okay.
Too slow, Sheikh. You lost me. No, but what part? That's the story of Musa. Has the story of Musa come to you? What is mentioned in Nazi'at? We'll pause it. Let's pause it. We'll come back. Al-Qasas. ايش فيها في هذه السورة؟ اذكر يعني طرف جزء من القصة. هذا هو فوقصه موسى فقضى عليه. Musa killed man in Surah Al-Qasas. Perfect answer. In chapter 28, Allah talks about Musa, that's general. Specifically, that he committed manslaughter. He killed the man. Jimmy, طيب. Taha, Fadda. I forgot. You can't mention it if you can't what?
Allah spoke to Musa.
And Taha? طيب.
When he told Musa to worship me.
أقم الصلاة لذكري. Next ayah. إن الساعة. طيب أحسن جميل. That's good enough. Very good. Let's move forward now. Let's move forward. لا خلي خليهم.
But he would make Pharaoh an example.
Now we gotta wait, Sheikh. We gotta wait. What else is there? All right, so I said Al-A'raf, right? Surah 7. An example of that will be what? Is that the scrolls. He took the what? The scrolls. And the promise that Allah gave him. The appointed time, the fixed time. And the amount of men that he took with him to that place. Right? Right? You with me or not? You with me, Yasin? Tayyip, what's next? There are other surahs where Musa is mentioned. You ready to come back from Baqarah? Faddal.
The cow.
The cow. The calf. The calf or the cow? Which one? Be careful. Be careful. We have Al-Ijl. That's the calf. The baby calf. Then we have Al-Baqarah, which is the heifer. It's not a baby. It's a female cow. I'm tricking you now. You gotta be sharp. You understand? Al-Ijl shay wal-Baqarah من حيث الاسم الآن من حيث التسمية الحقيقة خلينا نحب يعني يكون الشباب عندهم يعني شيء حاد يعني. طيب next surah النازيات تفضل.
That he would be sent to warn Pharaoh and give him guidance that he could.
اذهب إلى فرعون إنه طغى. Go to Pharaoh because he has transgressed all limits and tell him etc. Very good. تفضل تفضل. صحف إبراهيم وموسى. That Musa for sure got revelation from Allah in the form of a book. Whether the Torah and the Suhuf are two different things or whether they're the same thing. Everyone understand this? There's a difference here. The Torah and or the Suhuf, the scrolls. Everyone understand the difference here? They could be the same thing or they could be two different things. Perfect answer. Right. Next surah. Surah Ghafir. Very good. What's mentioned in chapter Ghafir 40? And Pharaoh and his pride and his arrogance and also his insecurity was manifested in that surah. And he wanted to get rid of the scourge of Moses and the followers of Moses mentioned in chapter 40. Tayyib. Very good. What else? There are many other surahs.
He's looking for kidder.
That's in what surah, Sheikh? Al-Kahf. And what he went to seek ilm. Exactly. He went out to go seek knowledge. And he humbled himself. And he was the Kalim al-Rahman. That's a tremendous lesson. Right, perfect answer. Now, guys, I want these brains to be cranking. Grease these wheels and these sprockets. Huh, Yasin? If they were reading the Quran on a daily basis, it would be what?
When he came with the flocks for the sisters was there with the feet.
What surah is that, Sheikh? What's next? No other surahs which Musa has mentioned? مضطجعا هذا يا شيخ يضطجع في الدرس يصلح ولا ما يصلح تفضل ان شاء الله
على ما اعتقد الانبياء يا موسى بيتك للناس
هذا سورة ايش؟ حزة الأعراف. خلاص انتهينا منها. بس جواب جيد ممتاز لكن نبغي سورة جديدة. سورة جديدة. What's the next surah, guys? How about Yunus? Number 10. Prophet Jonah. Musa alayhi salam is mentioned in that surah. What does Allah say about Musa and Harun in chapter 10?
Go to Pharaoh and speak to him.
Something else. They made dua against Pharaoh. For Allah to blind them. For Allah to stop their wealth. That you have given Pharaoh. ربنا لي exactly. They made dua against Pharaoh. That's a different aspect of the what? Of the story now. هذا ذكره الأخ هذا غافر سورة غافر جزاك الله خير يلا بسم الله ها any other surahs يونس ذكرنا هذا يا شيخ الآن any other surahs in which Musa is mentioned
The burning fire, you say he would bring a burning brand when he was traveling with the wives.
Yeah.
To the fire.
Taha, let me bring you some heat, some warmth from the fire. Taha. And other surahs as well. Any other surahs before we stop, guys? There are many others in which Musa has mentioned. And there are different aspects and parts of his what? Of his story and his saga. Everyone get the point? Tfaddal.
When the people told Musa for him to go.
When they were commanded to fight. They were commanded to enter the gates of Jerusalem. And they behaved cowardly. Perfect answer. Surah Ma'idah, number 5. What else?
I think the same when he goes up to Mount Sinai to receive revelations.
Tayyib.
And he comes back and they made the golden calf.
Tayyib. Khair, inshallah. Alright, so everybody got the point here so far? وعلى هذا فقس. That's the template now. And then what you do, or there are books that are available for this, but a good project for the layman Muslim is to have your notes, your highlighters, your sticky marks, and for you to put the story in order yourself through your own efforts and actions. So the first part of the story will be what? Well, perfect. You're going to find that in such and such a surah. You start writing it. The mother of Moses, the knob, the box. Then came what? Him being picked up by who? Point number 2. Him growing up. Him killing the man. Him running. Him. And then you what? You put it in order. I guarantee that you'll have a better understanding of the story and a better appreciation and love for the story when you've done the work yourself. Instead of picking up a book in which someone else has put it in story form. And then you can do Ibrahim. Everybody say this? And really being connected to it. Huh? Khair, inshallah. So we want to read tonight, is one of those surahs in which Musa is mentioned. He's mentioned in a great amount of detail. And there is some order in the story. And that is what you brothers and sisters have mentioned. Chapter number 28, Surah Al-Qasas. And we're going to go over not all, some of the most substantial and some of the most outstanding benefits, lessons, and morals of this story. We understand this specifically in chapter number 28. Specifically chapter number 28. قال الشيخ ابن سعدي رحمه الله تعالى فصل فكري بعض الفوائد والعبر في هذه القصة عجيبة. He says, he makes a specific essay or section in his tafsir on some of the lessons and morals of this marvelous story in Surah Al-Qasas, the stories. فمنها أن آيات الله تعالى وعبره وأيامه في الأمم السابقة إنما يستفيد بها ويستنير المؤمنون فعلى حسب إيمان العبد تكون عبرته وإن الله تعالى إنما يسوق القصص لأجلهم وأما غيرهم فلا يعبأ الله بهم وليس له منها نور وهدى. Point number 1 is that these ayat of Allah, these signs and these lessons and these morals and the days of Allah, ayyamullah, the days of Allah, the only people that learn from them and benefit from them, the only people that see clearly through them are the believers. Those who use their hearts and their minds, their eyes and their ears. And that's why Allah mentions those stories. He doesn't mention them for the non-Muslims. He doesn't mention these stories for those who are lost and astray and drowning in lusts or doubts or whatever they're drowning in. And this can save you from a lot of problems that people have and make up against the Quran. It's only for the muttaqeen. It's only for the mu'mineen. That's why Allah is telling you the story. As far as those who refuse to use their heads, those who refuse to use their hearts, those who think it's just lust, eat, drink, intercourse, make money, sleep, drink, and then that's it, will be dust and bones and ashes. Allah is not mentioning these stories for their sake. Everyone understand this? The audience of of the Quran with regards to these stories, only the what? The believers and the people of taqwa. I would understand this. So this benefits you, is that if you read these stories in the Quran and you understand them and you like them and you enjoy them, or even if you find some of them to be problematic, you ask a question, what does this mean? How does this make sense? Can you explain this to me? That is a sign of what? Of Eman. And that's a sign that bi'idhnillahi ta'ala Allah wants good for you. Everyone understand this? Is that you want to understand the story. And you want to benefit from the story and learn from the story. Everyone understand this? So that's the first point that Shaykh Ibn Sa'di rahimahullah ta'ala mentions with regards to this story. He says, وَمِنْ أن الله تعالى إذا أراد أمرا هيأ أسبابه وأتى بها شيئا فشيئا بالتدريج لا دفعة واحدة. Extremely pragmatic and practical benefit now is that whenever Allah wants something, when Allah wishes to make something take place in this world, our world, Allah Azza wa Jalla, the Shaykh says hayya, he says he lays down the foundations and gradually and progressively allows things to take place. So when Allah wants something really big to take place and happen, things start happening and taking place. Gradually and what? Progressively. And things just don't change what? Like that. Even though Allah has the ability to do so. But that's not how He made the heavens and the earth. You can benefit this with regards to your family, working, old age, dynasties, rising and falling, wars, whatever, any direction you want to take this in. You can take this in. Is that this dynasty crumbled, and look at the beginning of its decline. This took place. This one died. This happened. That happened. Next thing you know, they were defeated in a what? Decisive battle. And then the power changed. It shifted like that. And the battle was decisive, but the things which led to that great dynasty or empire falling and crumbling and being done away with was over a span of 10, 20, 30 years. And vice versa. The dynasty that is now born. Everyone understand this? It was a set of events. And it was long in the making of hard work and struggle and sacrifice. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He allows things to happen and He makes things for nothing to come into the way and to interrupt and interfere. And that is Musa alayhi salam being what? Taken as a baby. Just look how amazing that is. The one that would topple Pharaoh and his mighty empire was the one that was raised by Pharaoh and fed and educated and trained by Pharaoh. But Pharaoh had what? وَهُمْ لَا يَشْعُرُونَ, Allah says. And they didn't realize it not. They didn't what? They didn't realize it not. And that's what Pharaoh said to him. Weren't you a boy from among us? Yeah. Didn't we raise you? Didn't you kill someone? And now you're saying that you're a messenger of this deity, of this God that's only one without no partners? So Allah Azza wa Jalla, He made the things and lined the things up for the great epic event to take place. And this is applicable to anything in your daily life. Moving forward, point number 3. ومنها أن الأمة المستضعفة ولو بلغت في الضعف ما بلغت لا ينبغي لها أن يجري عليها الكسل عن طلب حقها ولا الإياس من ارتقائها إلى أعلى الأمور خصوصا إذا كانوا مظلومين كما استنقذ الله أمة بني إسرائيل الضعيفة من أسر فرعون وملئه ومكنهم في الأرض وملكهم بلادهم. The next point is that no matter how weak you are, how meek you become, how wrong and trodden or overtrodden you are, it's unnecessary to lose hope and to give up. And it's unnecessary to quit and to stop striving to get your rights and to take back what's yours. No matter how weak you are, no matter how beat down you become. He says, never ever despair and never ever lose hope. He says, so look what happened to Bani Israel. They were weak. They were slaves. They had no power, nothing. There was no way they could do without the grip and the grasp and the clutch of Pharaoh and his army. But look what happened. Allah caused Pharaoh to drown. He caused his chariots to drown in the sea. And those slaves, those servants, those poor people that were killed and dying in the desert, they became the leaders and the inheritors of the land. We can apply this to our daily lives with regards to race, with regards to sex or gender, with regards to a location, a country, someone's country that's been taken over whatever has happened, things can and will change in due time with the proper steps and the proper way, and never lose your fighting spirit. And that doesn't mean that you don't strategize. It doesn't mean that you put up a stubborn and obstinate fight when it's not plausible to do so. Sometimes you have to run away. Sometimes you have to relocate. Sometimes you have to regroup. Sometimes you have to migrate. Everyone understand this? But the spirit, what? Never dies. Evident. There's always the resistance. On one scale, one level, what? Or another. And I'm sure many of you brothers can relate to this. Whether your country gained its freedom from Great Britain or France or Italy or Germany in 1957, 1960, whether you come from the heritage of people that were wronged and oppressed, a heritage of slavery, whatever your background is, everyone can relate to this. Black, white, yellow, Arab, Asian, wherever you come from, you can relate to this. How your country was a colony of this country, how this person was kidnapped, how this woman was raped, how this person was oppressed. Everyone can what? They can relate to this. Albania, Bosnia, wherever you go, you can what? You can relate to this. So the Muslim is never ever to lose his or her fighting spirit. But it doesn't mean that you don't strategize. And sometimes you have to what? Leave. Sometimes you have to regroup. Sometimes certain battles are lost. But it doesn't mean that the war is always lost. And even if the physical fighting is lost, it doesn't mean that the cause and the legacy is what? Is lost. And that's very important. And there's a huge difference. Shaitan, ma bayna hada wa dhak. It's a word of a difference between this and that. Moving forward. The next point he says, ومنها أن الأمة ما دامت ذليلة مقهورة لا تأخذ حقها ولا تتكلم به ولا يقوم لها أمر دينها ولا دنياها ولا يكون لها إمامة فيه. He says here, is that as long as an ummah is weak, is poor, as long as they're extremely humble and they don't take their haqq back and they don't speak up for their haqq, then their deen in the dunya will never ever be straight. They'll never be successful if they just sit back silent. Don't say anything, don't do anything, don't feel anything, nothing will ever change. Alright, understand this? The revolutionary spirit here. The squeaky wheel gets the grease, in which you demand and you force your oppressor or your wrongdoer at least to listen to you and to consider you. Let alone fear you. Let alone give you back your rights. But at least you're going to what? You're going to hear us. And we're not going to keep silent about it. And we're not going to just turn the other cheek about it. No, we're going to make a ruckus. And for you to think and feel that you can come into my country, take whatever you want to take, do whatever you want to do, and live in peace and harmony, you have to be dreaming. You have to be dreaming. So physically, you have the power. Physically, you're running the policy in my country, no doubt. But don't think that you just want to sit in your sidewalk cafe and walk your dog and just have a pretty peachy life. No, it doesn't work like that. So even though you're physically in charge, you're going to be at least irritated and bothered and annoyed, let alone harmed by those whom you have wronged and stolen their country from. Everyone understand these words?
Absolutely.
As far as you giving the oppressors what? Both. Then that's not what the Shaykh says. Everyone understand this? And the same applies to any other relationship. A bully, that's cool. An oppressive husband, a tyrannical wife, oppressive boss, anyone that's wronging you and they're physically bigger and stronger than you. I can't beat you, but you're not going to enjoy it. So the bully at school, he took my milk. He took my milk money, but I'm knocking it on the floor. I'm going to knock it on the floor. I'm going to spit in it, then give it to you. You're not just going to have your cake and what? And eat it too. And this is the spirit of the wronged. And if you don't have this spirit, then what?
It's all over.
Khalas. You're sweet. I took it, and you're not going to do or say what? Anything about it. So why should I respect you? The next point he mentions, وَمِنْهَا لُطْفُ اللَّهِ بِأُمِّ مُوسَى وَتَهْوِينُهُ عَلَيْهَا الْمُصِيبَةَ بِالْبِشَارَةِ بِأَنَّ اللَّهَ سَيَرُدُّ إِلَيْهَا ابْنَهَا وَيَجْعَلُهُ مِنَ الْمُرْسَلِينَ. The next fact that Sheikh Sa'di mentions is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was very kind and courteous to Musa's mother. He was very kind and courteous to that woman, that poor woman. And that he, Azza wa Jal, the Mighty and the Most High, he lessened the burden of the calamity by giving her the glad tidings. He lessened the burden of the tragedy, giving her your newborn son, and throwing him to this oppressive man, Pharaoh, and his army. And we all know what they were doing with the Israelites. Allah Azza wa Jal, he lessened the burden of the calamity by giving her the good news that two things will take place. Thing number one is that you'll see your son again. You will see him again, safe and sound, and most importantly, he's not coming back to you as a normal son. Instead, he's coming back to you as a messenger, Rasul, min al-mursaleen, and that's tremendous. And we can benefit so many things from Musa alayhi salatu wasalam's mother. You're talking about a strong woman, a woman that believed in Allah and believed in His promise. And that's what happens when you believe in Allah and in His promise. That's what happens when you're truthful and honest with Allah. Allah will not break His promise with you. So we need many, many women today like that woman, Musa, who would take a brand new baby, put him in a reed, makeshift canoe or boat, a box, and put him in one of the largest rivers in the world. Who would do that today? You can't get a woman, except for the few women Allah has mercy upon, to do the simplest and basic, most easiest things when it comes to a child. Discipline the child, teach the child the Quran, or the rights of the child, or you get married, or whatever the situation is. He says, no, that's my son. That's my child. He's not going anywhere. I'm not doing anything with him. You can't tell me to do with my son. I don't care what you say. You don't know what it's like. You didn't give him birth. So on and so on and so forth. A million things they'll say, except to do what's necessary for the benefit of that child and the benefit of their own soul in light of Allah's commandments. Everyone understand this? Let alone take the child and put him in the Nile River. And that is the manifestation of a tawakkul. Put reliance in Allah. Don't worry about it. Allah did not ask you to do everything. Allah did not put on your shoulders to do everything. Allah did not place you in charge of doing everything. He only asked you to do one thing only, and that is to trust Him. Everyone understand this? Moving forward, He says, وَمِنْهَا أَنَّ اللَّهَ يُقَدِّرُ عَلَى عَبْدِهِ بَعْضَ الْمَشَاقِ يُنِيلَهُ سُرُورًا أَعْظَمَ مِنْ ذَلِكَ أو يدفع عنه شرا أكثر منه كما قدر على أم موسى ذلك الحزن الشديد والهم البليغ الذي هو وسيلة إلى أن يصل إليه ابنها على وجه تطمئن به نفسها وتقر به عينها وتزداد به غبطة وسرورا. The next point is that Allah Azza wa Jal, He will decree certain hardships upon His servants. Certain hardships. بعض المشاق. Not all hardships, not absolute hardships, but certain hardships on certain levels, certain places, and certain times for the opposite to take place. In other words, for it to be sweeter later on. For it to be sweeter later on. So we say you must taste bitter, what? Before sweet. And you won't appreciate and value the taste of the sweetness until you add a dosage of the bitter. So this is from the wisdom of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, making calamities and tragedies. This was taken away from you. This was done to you. This happened to you. You were held up here, and now when you sit down, you eat it, when you drink it, when you hold the baby, you say, Alhamdulillah. You can feel how good it is. Is that what? How sweet it is. Everyone understand this? Or, He says the opposite, is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala could protect the servant from having a greater pain. A greater pain. So let's make an example of this. You had a that died in a miscarriage. Alright? Unfortunately, or the child died at 1 or 2. Very tragic hammer blow on a woman's heart and her mind. She bore the baby for 9 months. It was kicking in the womb. She named it. They had a party. They were planning on the baby. MashaAllah, she pushes. She has labor for so many hours. Excruciating pain. And then the baby doesn't move when it comes out. It dies. Only Allah knows what that feels like. But Allah Azza wa Jal, He could have decreed that a woman not for the child to grow up and to walk and to talk and to resemble her and to be like her and to be such a blessing and the means of splendor, and then that child dies. It's going to hurt what? There's no question about that. And there's a greater attachment to the child. And any other example you can what? You can make with regards to this. Everyone understand this? And only Allah Azza wa Jal knows the secrets behind His qadr And that's why, just leave it up to Allah. You don't have to think but so much. You don't have to do but so much. Just what? Leave it up to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's all you have to do. Just be a slave. Be a servant. Follow. Be in ta'ala. Moving forward. He says, so therefore Allah Azza wa Jal, He put this great sadness on the mother of Musa, this great stress, this great worry, and that was the path to her son coming back to her. For her to have a greater taste and a greater appreciation and even more honor because he's a grown man and he's a messenger. Moving forward. ومنها أن الخوف الطبيعي من الخلق لا ينافي الإيمان ولا يزيله كما جرى لأم موسى ولموسى من تلك المخاوف. The next point is that to have natural fear, to be afraid naturally, isn't something which contradicts faith. It doesn't mean that you're not a believer if you're a little scared, if you're a little afraid. It doesn't mean that you don't love Allah, and you don't put your trust in Allah, you're not afraid of Allah. It doesn't mean that you fear other than Allah and you make shirk with Allah. But that's something which is tabi'i, it's natural as a human being to be nervous. It's natural as a human being to be a little anxious. It's natural as a human being to be a little what? Afraid. And we've explained this and the beauty of this concept, okay, from a non-Islamic aspect, a street aspect, a worldly aspect, and that is the relationship between Customano and Mike Tyson. And of all the wisdom that he gave him, and that he taught him, that prodigy of a boxer and of an athlete, and he saw the potential in him. From what he taught him, he said, what's the difference between the hero and the coward? Or what's the similarity between the hero and the coward? What is the parallel between these two people? One is almost worshipped a hero, and one is totally looked down upon as being a coward. But they share something. They have a parallel, and that thing is that they're both what? Afraid. They're both scared on the battlefield. The hero is scared, and the coward is also what? Scared. But it's the hero that does what? He moves forward. He gets the necessary strength to have the courage to do what he must do. And the coward submits and succumbs to his fear, and he turns his back. The yellow belly. He runs. He's afraid. He takes flight. And that's the difference between the two. So every great warrior and great hero, it doesn't mean that they're never ever what? Afraid. It doesn't mean that. And that's not what's meant by cowardice. Cowardice doesn't mean fear. Cowardice means that you don't have the ability to overcome the fear and to put it behind you and rise to the occasion. Everyone understand this concept? And it doesn't mean that you're less of a warrior or a hero if there's some type of fear. Everyone understand this? And oftentimes, the people who say that they're not afraid at all, they're not nervous, they're not worried at all, oftentimes they're the worst of liars. And oftentimes they're the greatest of cowards. Everyone understand this? Those who make the most noise and who bark have the least what? The least bite. Real killers don't what?
Talk much.
They don't talk much. Silent. Everyone understand this? They don't what? They don't talk much. A grandmaster of chess, he doesn't talk when he's playing until it's time to say what?
Checkmate.
Checkmate. And you pluck your king over. That's the only thing that he has to say. He's not huffing and puffing and growling and barking at you because he knows that he's going to win. And the one who's inferior is the one who has to make noise and try to make a distraction. So in an Islamic standpoint, from an Islamic standpoint, he says that natural fear does not go against Al-Iman. And that's because Musa a.s. was afraid, just like his mother was what? Afraid. And Allah praised them and lauded them, meaning that they were perfect believers. For Allah to mention them and to tell us about their story. Moving forward, he says, وَمِنْهَا أَنَّ الْإِيمَانَ يَزِيدُ وَيَنْقُصُ وَأَنَّ مِنْ أَعْظَمِ مَا يَزِيدُ بِهِ الْإِيمَانِ وَيَتِمُّ بِهِ الْيَقِينِ الصَّبْرُ عِنْدَ الْمُزْعِجَاتِ والتثبيت من الله عند المقلقلات كما قال تعالى لولا أن ربطنا على قلبها لتكون من المؤمنين أي ازداد إيمانها بذلك ويطمئن قلبها. Another major point of this story is that Iman fluctuates. Iman rises and falls, waxes and wanes. Iman goes up and it goes down. It goes up and it goes down. And from the greatest things which will allow a person's Iman to remain strong and to flourish and to prosper, and a person's yaqeen to become complete and full, is being patient at the time of irritability. When people become irritable, people become shaky and unstable, is you anchor yourself down. To have sabr at the time in which everyone else is anxious and worried and afraid and scared. And that could be manifested in not talking. That could be manifested in your body remaining still. That could be manifested in when you do your Islamic obligation at a time when everyone else is too scared and afraid to do that Islamic obligation. A sabr, a thabat, is making yourself firm. And you could be anxious on the inside. You could be scared on the inside. You could want to cry out and complain on the inside, but you stifle it in the inside. And if you want to complain to anyone, you raise your hands and what? You complain to Allah Azza wa Jalla. Everyone understands? He says this is one of the greatest ways of keeping your iman strong and allowing it to grow. So Allah Azza wa Jalla, He says, لَوْلَا أَرَبَطْنَا عَلَى قَلْبِهَا. Allah says, and if we did fasten her heart, رَبَطْنَا عَلَى قَلْبِهَا, if we didn't tighten her heart for her to be from the believers, i.e., she would have what? Despaired. She would have lost hope. She wouldn't have had the necessary patience for putting her son and sending him to Fir'aun. If we hadn't what? Strengthened her heart. Everyone understand this? So it goes to show you that Musa alayhi salam, his mother, her iman, it was what? Liable to go up or down. And Allah chose to keep it what? Strong and to everyone understand this? So you have to be mindful of yourself and ask yourself, where is your iman? As we have explained, and as we have mentioned, the statement of Abu Darda radiallahu anhu, in which he says, "Inna min fiqh al-abdi," from the signs that a servant is knowledgeable and wise, is that he keeps a close watch, he keeps a close eye on his iman. Is it growing or is it suffering? Is it on the increase or the decrease? Just like when you're driving, you keep an eye on your what? Your meters, you keep an eye on your gas, your speed, your mileage, the zones in which you're traveling. And an immature driver or heedless driver who's going to become prey of the state trooper is the one who doesn't what? He doesn't pay attention, doesn't look. He's going to be stuck in the middle of the road. And he's going to pay how much money, wait for how many hours for roadside assistance to bring him a couple of gallons of gasoline to go to the next stop. And it could have been prevented by just doing what? Keeping an eye on it, being mindful of it. Everyone understand this? So these points, there lies no doubt. Each and every one of them is a khutbah in itself, a class in itself, a lesson in itself. Each point could be extracted and expounded upon. These are words of wisdom from Sheikh Sadi with some commentary and explanation from your poor brother in Al-Islam. I hope that each and every one of you can appreciate these words, understand these words, and benefit from these words. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is one we ask to bless us, to protect us, to guide us, and to keep us firm upon the straight path until we die and we stand in resurrection. What time is it then?
45
9:45. Any Iqamah?
to 10.
10 o'clock. Okay. You have any questions, Jamal, from the brothers or sisters? تفضل.
لو سألني سائل قال لي موسى طبعا أصبح فؤاده فارغ الله سبحانه وتعالى ربط على قلبه وفي واحد اتفسر عليه قال لي لو ما أنه ربط على قلبه يجزع وكذلك سيدنا إبراهيم وربنا ما ربط على قلبه ما ترك طفله في وادي الزرع وكذلك بما ذبح ابن إسماعيل الله.
طيب
إذا في حد قال لي كده أرد عليه قال شغلات لو لا أنتم فتناك لك
أنت
تركنا ليه
طيب طيب الاثنين كما جاء في الحديث الذي ما ثبت أن القرآن طرف هذا القرآن بيد من؟ خليك كمل النص وطرفه بأيديكم، بمعنى أن الإيمان والصبر والثبات وإلى آخره هذه كلها من إلهية محض فضل الله عز وجل. هذا من ناحية، ومن ناحية أخرى للعبد في ذلك دخل التضرع، سؤال الله عز وجل، الرجوع إليه، له دخل في هذا، دخل لكن من حيث الأصل هو منة إلهية يمن بها على من يشاء من عباده، ولكن له للعبد دخل في الأسباب. للعبد إيش؟ دخل في الأسباب، خاصة نحن نسمع ونقرأ وتأتينا مثل هذه العبر، ليش ما يعني نتشبه بهؤلاء بالتضرع وبالسؤال وبالصبر وبسؤال الله العافية واليقين والثبات. عرفت كيف؟ والله أعلم. أقنعك الجواب؟ ها؟ طيب. Any other questions from the brothers and sisters here? Any other questions? تفضل يا أخي. We'll come back to you.
Yeah, well, answer is
طيب, no problem. وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله. حياك الله بشير.
How do you know your iman is increasing or decreasing?
How do you know your iman is increasing or decreasing? First and foremost, you know scholastic explanation to have the feeling in your chest. You feel good. No doubt about it. You make Fajr and Jama'ah, you feel good. You go to Jum'ah, you feel good. You make Hajj, Umrah, what?
good.
Feel good. You take the money that you want for yourself, wa alaikum salam, or you can do this with it, and you put it in the sadaqah, or you give it to someone, even though you wanted that money. You feel what? No doubt. You feel like, alhamdulillah. Maybe sting a little bit for some brothers who are what? Tight wad. What? Deep pockets. Maybe a little bit. But once you overcome your nafs, at the end of the day, you feel what? Say, alhamdulillah, I did that. And the same applies to when you go back to your girlfriend and you sleep with her again. You say, damn, that was up, man. Or you go back to your boyfriend and you sleep with him again. Or you steal again, or whatever you're doing that's haram and it angers Allah. You don't feel comfortable with yourself at the end of the day. You can feel your chest tight. You don't feel like a close believer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You don't. And if you don't have that feeling, then obviously, alaikum salam, it's time to beware and to be careful. Because the person that's on the still bed, you're watching them, you can pinch them as much as you want. They won't what? They won't flinch. Someone who's in deep sleep, you pinch them, they'll do what? They'll wake up. Everyone understand this? So the concept of how do you know your iman is growing? How do you know it's flourishing? How do you know it's suffering? Just look at how you feel. How do you feel when you make hajj in ihram? How clean do you feel? How good do you feel in the masjid after Jumu'ah? Everyone understand this? So there lies no doubt there is a tangible feeling to iman. And it's something that I said there's no scholastic thesis needed on that. Everyone understand this? Let alone the text of the Kitab and the Sunnah, you following them or not? And the blessings of Allah that come to you. Why can that? And the reason or the sign that I mentioned, that's the starting point, and that's something that everyone can get. Wallahu a'lam. Fadal akhi. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
Is it a sunnah before you, as an imam, before you make the takbir, you have to say stu, right? You have to let people know you're ready to lead the salah. Is it sunnah?
Okay, clear. Is it a sunnah for the imam to tell the people istaw, straighten your rows, fix your rows before you make the takbir? There's no question about that.
Is it sunnah?
It's not only sunnah, it's obligatory.
Thank you.
And the Prophet ﷺ, he says, La tusawwunna sufufakum. He gave them an ultimatum. And he said this to Abu Bakr, Umar, Uthman, the Sahaba, the best of the best. He said, either you'll straighten your rows, or Allah will separate you in your faces. One of the two is going to happen. Meaning if you don't straighten your rows, that's the punishment. So the correct view, the madhab of Imam al-Bukhari rahimahullah, is that it's an obligation to straighten the rows. How do we straighten the rows? Heel, toe, that's a different discussion. It's a different discussion. So it's a sunnah, meaning it's a way of Muhammad, but it's also obligatory. It's not a sunnah according to the fiqh definition. It's just a sunnah. This is a sunnah prayer. No. This is fard. But it's also from the Messenger of Allah's way. So straightening the rows is the obligation of the imam. And the Prophet always did it. He always did it. And he would tell the companions to do it. He would order Bilal, he would order this companion to go back and to look and to make sure that the rows were straight. The Prophet would touch the chest, wa alaikum salam to Allah, The Prophet says, فَإِنِّي أَرَاكُم مِّن وَرَاءِ ظَهْرِي, I see you from behind. So the forgotten and abandoned sunnah of straightening the rows is something that's very sad. And there are many authentic hadiths that all talk about the danger of not straightening the rows, the virtue of it, the importance of it, and the reward of doing so. مَنْ وَصَلَ صَفًّا وَصَلَهُ اللَّهُ وَمَنْ قَطَعَ صَفًّا قَطَعَهُ اللَّهُ. So there's no doubt about that. Wallahu a'lam. You ready?
Yeah.
Fadl.
Alright, in the story about the Battle of Badr, two caravans, Allah said that they would have never met without him making without him. There's another word where Allah said that the word has been proven against him.
Okay.
And there was some things that he made occur so that the word was put true against him. Can you,
Question with regards to the Battle of Badr and the two caravans, how the Sahaba wanted the unarmed caravan, the caravan carrying the goods, quote unquote, and how Allah Azza wa Jal mentioned that Allah wanted something to take place and to happen, all right, and that was going to take place and happen no matter what the companions or some of the companions wanted or didn't want. And the question says regarding that Allah says that the word is proven true against the disbelievers. It will prove true, and it has proven true with regards to what He wants to take place. Could you elucidate? Could you explain? So on and so forth. Jazakallahu khairan. Very good question. Just like we mentioned in the lecture, is that when Allah wants something big to happen, He allows smaller things to take place, and they lead up to the epic showdown. And that was the fighting and the meeting of swords at Badr, which wasn't their intention. It wasn't their intention. They had no intention, but Allah wanted it to take place. So therefore, Allah knows what's going to happen. Allah has decreed it. Allah has written it. It's going to take place, but the Sahaba, they didn't know. They didn't have the knowledge on what was proven against the disbelievers or not. And they wanted to do something. And this story and its beauty shows us the proper understanding of Al-Qadr. Al-Imanu bil-Qada'i wal-Qadr. Wa alaykum as-salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Marhaba bikum. And that is, the servant doesn't know what's going to happen. The servant has no knowledge of Allah's knowledge, which is exclusive to him. And the only thing that the servant does is try and strive. And despite that, you may try and strive to run away from a thing or to do the opposite, and that thing will find you and what? Encounter and embrace you. And that's, you know that it's what? It's qadr. I try my best to avoid violence. I try my best to avoid bloodshed. But what? They brought it to my door. It was qadr. It was meant for this person to bleed. Even though I try to be peaceful. It was meant for this to happen, but that's not what Allah wanted. So the servant tries his or her best. That's it. Try your best. Ask Allah for guidance. And do all that you can do. And know for sure is that it's going to take place as Allah what? Wanted it to take place. There's a beautiful benefit from that story, and that's what's meant by that. Wallahu alam. Fadl. Abdurris. Fadl.
Sheikh, basing off his question, what is the ruling now when the imams today, they start adding extra things like pray as if this is your last prayer and make sure your phone is off?
Clear. With regards to the last question about straightening the rows, the sunnah of telling the people to straighten the rows, and what happens when imams add things like pray as if this is your last prayer, or turn off your phones, etc. As far as pray as this is your last prayer, then that's not from the sunnah. And any hadith that speaks on pray as if you're a farewell traveler, it's your last prayer, that's not authentic. It's inauthentic. So the imam should not say that to the people. Let alone the fact that that's an intention that's in their hearts between them and their Lord. Everyone understand this? You don't say that. And if a person did say it, you're not going to say it each and every single time. Because the Prophet didn't what? He didn't say it each and every single time. How many times did he lead them in the what? In the prayer. If the hadith was authentic. If that was what's meant by it. They saw how the Prophet ﷺ recited, his beard removed, how he moved his finger, how he sat down, Hassan and Hussein jumped on him, this, that. There's so many events in which they witnessed the Prophet's what? Prayer. Yeah. And it's never ever mentioned that he said that, pray is this your last prayer. So that shouldn't be. as far as telling the people to cut off their phones, to silence their phones, then that's not necessarily the sunnah of taswiyat as-sufuf. That's not something that's like a spiritual practice. That's more of like a need, a worldly need that has an effect and an effect upon the spiritual practice of the salah. And this is a reality of the power and the influence of cell phones on our lives. Even the salah has been changed and affected through technology, music, ringers. Everyone understand this? And the list goes on. So it's a hajjah, yani, to tell the people to be mindful of their ringtones. And of course, the phone ringing in the salah is problematic from so many different aspects. Aspect number one is, who's in your inner circle? Who are your friends, your associates? Who is that intimate with you that they don't have a general idea that you're making salah? So how does that look if I call Abu Sa'id at 1:15 p.m. in the summertime, 1:20, 1:05, and I keep calling him and calling him and calling him? What reflection of that is that on me? Duh. In most cases, he's doing what? He's making Salatul Dhuhr, but starting in the masjid. And in most cases, I'm not. So that shows something. Non-Muslim, different story. But we're talking about the phone calls that keep coming. Someone in your inner circle is supposed to know about the prayer. So this person that keeps calling you, that's a reflection of them, and it's also a reflection of what? Who you got in your circle. That's first and foremost. Secondly is, why does your phone need to ring in the salah? You take your phone in the bathroom. So many people, if inshallah none of you brothers do it, well, many people do it. It may be a necessity, whether it's haram, whatever, but they take the phone into the bathroom. There's no doubt about that. You go to sleep, your phone is under your pillow. You wake up in the shower, your phone is everywhere. And there's nothing that's sacred. There's no time which you detach yourself from the technology and from the grid, not even the 5 daily prayers, in which you're supposed to stand in front of Allah and invoke Him. That's sad. That's very sad. Point number 3 is that what in the world do you have on your phone? Why is your phone ringing with this crazy, wacky, loony ringtone? Whether it's musical or not. That's a reflection of you and your lifestyle and your character. Is that you're not supposed to have this on your phone, period. You're not supposed to listen to that, period. Let alone in the prayer. And last but not least, it goes to show some heedlessness. تدل على غفلة. تدل على غفلة. And that's because you're entering a prayer and there's no preparation for the prayer. You made no preparation for the salah. There's no miswak, there's no nothing. So the routine should be miswak, and let me what? Let me check my phone. Because I'm getting my mind ready to enter into this sacred state. So you know you have people calling you, your phone is on, you have a crazy wacky ringtone, and you don't check it, you don't silence it, something is wrong. Last but not least, the last blow is the ignorance of the people who don't understand tajuzu al-harakatul yasiratu أثناء الصلاة وأن الحركة أثناء الصلاة على أقسام. هناك حركة واجبة، وهناك حركة مستحبة، وهناك حركة مباحة، وهناك حركة مكروهة، وهناك حركة محرمة تفسد الصلاة. الحركة في الصلاة على هذه الأحكام الخمسة. 5 rulings of moving in the prayer. Sometimes you gotta move in the prayer. It's not an option. You're praying towards the wrong direction, and someone says, "Last to the right." Once you've heard that, you don't talk, but you've heard it, you must now to the right. Or you remember that you have some najasa on your clothes, whatever part of your clothing it may be. You remember that it's something filthy on you. You have to take it off what? In the salah. And then there's harakah, moving in the prayer, which is recommended. It's recommended to move. Such as you're standing in the sun and it's very hot. You take a step to the right so you have better khushu'. To have better khushu'. Everyone understand this? And then you may just move in a prayer in which you don't move abundantly, but you have a bad itch. And you just, which could be attributed to mustahab as well, because you're doing it to have better khushu'. It's really bothering you. And you just scratch yourself and that's it. You don't keep scratching yourself. And then there's dislike movement in a prayer, in which there's no reason to move. And it's done slightly, and it isn't done back to back. And obviously the haram movement is turning away from the qibla, talking, eating, and doing other things with no reason and keep doing those actions over and over again, and it breaks the prayer. So ايش دخل الجوالات في هذه الآيات هذا الكلام الطويل? What does this have to do with a cell phone? Is that your phone is ringing in the salah. It's loud, it's disturbing, it's disrespecting the message, it's desecrating the sacred prayer, and you don't even have enough fiqh to move into your pocket and press the button. You don't have enough basic knowledge to go into your pocket and silence your phone. And that proves that you are ignorant of the basic rulings of moving in the prayer. So the people, they don't realize that the Prophet ﷺ moved in the salah. He walked towards the sutra. He grabbed shaitan in the salah. He did these things in the prayer. He took off his sandals, what? In the salah. So it's the duty of the imams and the scholars to teach the people these rulings. That could be a khutbah on Friday. Khutbah on ahkam and haraka fi salah. That's a khutbah that the people need. And not giving the same khutbah every single week, every month, on this romantic fantasy, and this story, but teach the people. And of course, everyone doesn't want to learn, everyone doesn't listen, but the teaching has to be there. So these are all كلها مفاسد ومساوي. فيما يتعلق بالواجب أثناء الصلاة. They're all problems that are reflections of our understanding and practice of the religion in regards to the cell phone and the prayer. Allah Azza wa Jalla knows best. We're going to stop here for the adhan, and if there's enough time after the adhan before the iqamah, we'll try to take a few questions from online. Wallahu a'lam.
وحناك يا شيخ كيف حالكم طيب؟ صار لك صار حياكم طيبين الله كيف راضية؟ راضية بخير حياكم الله
أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمد رسول الله أشهد أن محمد رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله
Iqamah is at 10, correct? Yeah. Okay. We have just a few minutes left. We'll take one or two questions from the line. Question comes from Muhammad Salah from Farwaniya, Kuwait. Can I make a card in which I write all the du'as I make because I fear I might forget them one day? All the du'as are authentic. Jazakallahu khairan. May Allah bless you bless all Hadith disciples in Kuwait and all of the Muslims. It's nothing wrong with writing a card for the purpose of remembering them, reflecting on them, looking at them, walking around with them. There's nothing wrong with that. But be careful and beware of any other intention or objective being taken from this card, in which you think or feel that this card saves you and protects you. It has an impact on you, a good luck charm. And a person doesn't start off with this. It becomes from the good fitrah and the good aqidah, but it could it could turn into that. So be careful. Number two, I would advise you, especially if you're a young man or a young woman, and even if you're an older man or an older woman, is try your best to memorize. Try your best. Force yourself to memorize those dua. Inshallah ta'ala, take one dua a week. You can't memorize a dua in 7 days? 7 days. All week I'm going to practice on this dua 10 times, 20 times. And then every time I go to the bathroom or eat or sleep or get dressed or whatever, I make the dua. And all my contacts, I spread the dua and I give the dua. In my local masjid, I pass on this dua to the people. And the next week is a second. And the next thing, you have 4 duas in a month. And bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, there is no doubt, if you put forth the necessary effort, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, you'll find that it becomes easier and easier. وَالَّذِينَ جَاهَدُوا فِينَا لَنَهْدِيَنَّهُمْ سُبُلَنَا وَإِنَّ اللَّهَ لَمَعَ الْمُحْسِنِينَ. If you fight in Allah's cause, you struggle to do something to please Allah, Allah will make things easy for you. وَمَنْ يَتَّقِ اللَّهَ يَجْعَلْ لَهُ مَخْرَجًا وَيَرْزُقْهُ مِنْ حَيْثُ لَا يَحْتَسِبُ. Whoever fears Allah, Allah will give him sustenance the ways he doesn't even understand. Allah will make things easy for him. The Prophet ﷺ says, "Man salaka tariqan yaltamisu fihi ilman, salaka Allahu lahu bihi tariqan ila jannah." You tread a path in which you're seeking knowledge, Allah will place you on a path to paradise. So you got to strive. And memorizing something isn't a cultural norm nowadays. Everything is on the phone. Directions, numbers, everything is on the phone. Kullu shay is on the phone. Everything. The culture, you go to school, to college, everything is not facts and information. It's long, drawn out explanations. That's how things are in the Western universities. That's how they want it to be. So pure hifz isn't something which goes hand in hand with our modern culture. It's not. So due to the fact that that's the case, you now have to work what? Extra hard. And going against the grain, swimming upstream now. Alright? With regards to forcing yourself to have hifz, to memorize. And trust me, it's not that difficult. If you break it down, if you take baby steps, and most importantly, it's hard work that's done with consistency. Hard work with consistency. Huh? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. We're going to stop here to give the brothers time to prepare for the iqamah. Jazakumullah khairan. Thank you very much for tuning in. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.